All right, everybody. I'm Zeke. I'm the director of MGS, and this is something new we're doing. We are going to start doing student interviews so you can kind of hear from a student's perspective what it's like going through, why they got involved with us. Let me preempt this by saying this is not a paid advertisement. Our student here, Gary, is volunteered to do this, and this is not something we're like, hey, you're a student. We'll give you a little kickback or a better grade for this. No, we don't do that stuff. So I want to kind of get your perspective. Tell me a little bit about you, what you do now, and then we'll kind of go into the whole gunsmithing and how you got involved with MGS.
Okay, so I currently work for the Department of Corrections. I'm an officer and a weapons trainer with them, and I own my own business. I'm an ATF licensed gunsmith, and I also do tactical training, and I'm branching into dry fire and live fire training as well.
Nice. So you've been doing gunsmithing for how long?
I got my FFL in 2020, and so I've been doing gunsmithing up since I got my FFL.
Almost 5 years now?
Yes.
And when did you enroll with us?
I want to say it was before, it was either slightly before or slightly after I got my FFL.
Okay, cool. From what you've experienced with MGS and you've been gunsmithing before, what do you think about your journey so far? I mean, this has been a 5-year journey in the gunsmithing world. How did you get there? What made you go, you know what? I think I can do this. I think I want to do this.
When I first found out I wanted to start working on firearms, I was new to shooting, and I was like wanting to know how things work. So I started looking at different schools I could go to. I was looking online mainly because I couldn't go to an actual school because I was working full time. And so I found Penn Foster, went through them and got their certificate. And then I was like, well, I want to get more education because, I mean, in gunsmithing, you're never done learning. I started searching for other schools, and that's when I came across MGS and noticed they actually had hands-on projects to do. And so I decided to take the plunge and check it out, and the rest is history.
And from having some experience before, what do you think of the curriculum? Like, what your perspective, and no holds barred, if there's stuff that you're like, hey, this really stunk, you need to fix this, tell me.
Right.
If there's stuff that you really like, tell me. So just in general, what do you think so far, being a gunsmith already?
So I think whether you're just learning or whether you are an experienced gunsmith, it's a great course to go through. There was information in that course that was not in any other course that I found, and the biggest draw to me was the hands-on projects. And it's not just because, oh, cool, I get tools. I mean, that is a plus, but it's the fact that you're actually putting your hands on something, figuring out how to do it. For example, the silver soldering was a big challenge for me. I had to do it like 3 times before I got it, but I learned how to do it. And so the hands-on projects were one of the big selling points for me.
What's been your favorite project so far?
My favorite project was it's one that I'm gonna do eventually when I order the advanced level 2, is going to be the building of the AR.
Yeah, Watchtower makes a really good product. They used to be F1 Firearms, and then a new ownership group came in, changed it to Watchtower. I have 3. I have 2 that are F1. No, all 3 are F1, but the last one was after Watchtower bought them. So it's a good product. You're gonna learn a ton in that course. And you have a lot of people that'll go, oh, why are you building an AR for a gunsmithing course? ARs are like Legos for adults, but they're the number 1 selling rifle in America. If you have the number 1 selling anything and you learn how to repair it inside out, build them inside out, you're gonna do pretty well in this field. So I think it's a good one. And there's other options we have if you don't like that, but if you pick the AR, you'll be picking a good one. How did you hear about us first? Like, how did you first go, okay, MGS, who is this?
So, like I said, I was looking for mainly distance learning, and I had already gone through Penn Foster, so I went past them, and then I found MGS because I searched online gunsmithing schools, and you guys were one of the first ones that came up. So I clicked on you, and I did some research, and I kept on doing research, and finally I took the plunge and said, you know what, I'm going to do this one too. And so went online and signed up, and I actually talked to a student advisor and took care of everything that was involved. And next thing I know, I've got my bookwork and all that.
Nice. And is this something that you want to plan to take to your career in law enforcement? Like to go over there and say, hey, look, I can be the armor for this department, for this precinct, for this prison, whatever?
Actually, I already am one of the 3 certified armorers at my facility. What my certifications did, what my certifications outside of work did, was it kind of got me in with being a range officer and an instructor and an armorer, because they saw that I had experience. So it helped a lot. You know, they knew that I already knew what I was doing and knew what was going on. So yeah, it helped. My full plan is to eventually one day do gunsmithing and my running my business full time.
Are you wanting to like open a brick and mortar from like an actual location, or are you going to do it from your house? Have you even thought that far ahead?
Yes and no. I have and I haven't. I know things take time. So right now I do everything out of my house, and one day, who knows?
And there's nothing wrong with doing it out of your house. You know, when you get that FFL, you can get it set up in your house. And I know you said you've already had that set up there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, oh, I've got to go build this elaborate cage system in a highly secured strip mall area with bars on the doors. You can actually have an FFL based out of your house. You still have to do everything that ATF asks you to do. You still have to follow the rules and everything. But yeah, that is definitely something that's possible, which is part of the reason why we have our Advanced 2 program with all those tools when you graduate. You know, I have had emails from people before in a previous life where they're like, great, I learned all this gunsmithing stuff, and at the end I built an AR-15. How the heck am I supposed to start a business with an AR-15? So it's always weighed on me, hey, I need to get more tools involved. Because if you go, we're a trade school. If you go to auto diesel mechanic college, right? When you graduate, you've got a pallet of tools to take to any dealership, any body shop and say, hey, I'm ready to work. Here's everything I need. Let's rock and roll. You got a job. In gunsmithing, there's not anybody out there that's giving you tools you need to start your own shop, or even go to a gun store that doesn't have gunsmithing and say, hey, I've got everything I need to set up a gunsmithing system in your shop. Let's negotiate a deal. Or just start it in your own house. So that's part of the reason we do those tools at the end. Out of all the projects, out of all the lessons, what's some of the biggest takeaways you've had without divulging? Because we're accredited, there's lots of rules we have to follow, right? We can't divulge our curriculum online in public. Like I can't just put out 12 chapters of our curriculum on Instagram, right? Similar with this, but just kind of like tidbits of information and takeaways from the lessons you studied. What do you think is the most valuable one you've gotten from MGS?
I would say, let's see here, most valuable. I myself couldn't really take just one of them and say, hey, this one's taught me the most. The whole course was very enlightening. The whole course was very knowledgeable, even for somebody that was doing it for a year or two before we even started. I mean, just if I had to pick one, I would say the directions that come with the projects. Those are, if you've never done this before, okay, so say you get the stock refinishing kit, okay, you've never refinished the stock before, you've never even worked on a piece of wood before, the directions that come with them, that break it down, and you'll be able to do it without an issue. I mean, you might have a hiccup here or there, but the directions are well thought out. They've got illustrations, and they're made for anybody to be able to understand. And like I said, the silver soldering was difficult, but reading the directions and going through them, I read the directions 3 times, and finally it was like, okay, and I got it.
When I was a kid, and I'm dating myself because they may not have this in high schools or junior highs anymore, I remember having a class, I think it was junior high because I vaguely remember it, where we had to solder pieces of wire to a motherboard or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we had to learn how to solder that way. So people see, oh, silver soldering, oh, this will be easy because I did that, if they did that before with, motherboards, computers, stuff like that. And that is easier. Soldering two pieces of metal together, that is our most hated project. It's hilarious how many messages we get from people. This doesn't work. I can't make it work. But, the instructions, if you follow them closely, and then there's little tips and tricks. We have a MGS student Facebook group that you can go on and people will help answer questions and help each other out. But it's a tough project. I mean, you get it and you get two little pieces of metal. And we're like, okay, solder them together. And you're like, oh, easy. I got this. 3 days later, we get cussed out because we didn't give them enough solder and they wasted it. it's one of those projects where even when I tried it, it was days of trying to get it right and trying to do it, and then going with the instructions, following those, and then even going into the Facebook group and getting those tips and getting those tricks. So that's one. I think my favorite one is one that a lot of people don't realize from a gunsmith perspective. A lot of guns that you will see gunsmithing are old. Grandpa's gun that got handed down to him. There's no tools for him anymore. If you go to any gunsmith shop, they have a wall of buckets of hand tools they fabricated themselves. And a lot of people think, oh, I can use any screwdriver, any drill bit, any this, any that. No, certain guns have certain tools you have to use. And they don't exist anymore because they're old guns. They're out of production. So they don't even have the tools. You can't even call Brownells to get it. So gunsmiths will have to fabricate their own hand tool. And we teach you to do that. I think it's it's an old school, out of production Ruger revolver tool that we have you learn how to make and fabricate your own hand tool. So that's one that I really like because a lot of people are like, wait, that's a thing. And then you talk to them after they've been a gunsmith for a while, and I'm like, how many hand tools have you had to make yourself? Oh, I've got buckets of them. So it's one of those surprising projects that a lot of people don't realize that's a thing. Out of all the projects you've done, which one did you sit back and go, I'm kind of proud of myself for that one? And that's pretty impressive what I just did there.
I would say probably the one you were just talking about.
Yeah, that hand tool project is something that people absolutely love. And when they read about it, they don't get it, at first. Some people do. If they've already been gunsmiths, they understand that stuff. But when people go, oh, I'm going to have to create a lot of hand tools, and maybe they call their buddy who's a gunsmith in 3 states over, and they're like, oh, yeah, dude, I've had to create tons of them. So that's something people really love. What kind of things in the studies with MGS do you think is going to help you most navigating through a career in the firearms industry?
All of it.
All of it. That's a good answer.
All of it, really, because just the book work, it's hands-on work, and when you do gunsmithing, you're going to be doing a lot of hands-on, but you're also going to be doing a lot of learning. And so combining both of those two is going to give you a knowledge base and a base to work with that you're not going to get anywhere else. And again, the fact that this course comes with hands-on projects to actually use, I was a huge fan of hands-on projects. That's why I keep on going back to them. There wasn't one project that stuck out too much. There wasn't one project that seemed redundant. It was the entire package. And when you do this package, when you go through the course, you're going to learn stuff you didn't even think you knew.
Very true. With being in the gunsmithing space for a couple years before you did this, what kind of changes have you seen in the firearms industry that has just been something that you've seen, you've caught it, you're like, I need to be aware of that? What kind of stuff? And it doesn't even have to be gunsmithing. If it's something that would benefit gunsmithing knowledge, student coming out working in the firearms industry, what kind of stuff have you seen there?
Mainly it's the optics world. The optics world has flared up huge. Everything is red dot, green dot, RMRs, and tactical functions of different weapons, customization of weapons. Those things have become even more popular than they were 3 years ago. I mean, look at just how much the red dot market has become. Everybody's putting red dots on their firearms. People are putting red dots on shotguns now. So those things, those applications, people are trying. The firearms industry is trying to modernize itself to higher levels than they ever have.
Yeah, the red dot thing is a conundrum for me. I was trained and raised on iron sights. If you can't shoot it with iron sights, you don't need to be messed with anything else. Well, there's lots of optics out there that will last for a long time, battery life wise. Lots of red dots is what I'm going towards. Then there's stuff like Trigicon, where it uses fiber optics that take in the light ambiently, and it's not actually a battery powering that reticle. Pistol wise, I am struggling to embrace that trend, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's something that doesn't work. I just need to be less of an old codger and start trying it more, because when I've shot them before, and part of it too, I went and did a competition now we're talking 3 years ago, where I put a red dot, and I'm not gonna say the brand because I don't bash brands, but 3 shots and it turned off. I'm like, okay, battery died. Maybe it was an old battery. I put a new battery in, same thing, 3 shots, red dot's gone. So that left a bad taste in my mouth. But I've shot other people's, even companies like Holosun and off-brand optics that you find at a gun show somewhere. They work good. So maybe I just had a bad batch, I almost said the brand name. I just had a bad red dot that I put on my pistol. But I'm willing to try it. But it's definitely, I mean, you're right. That's something that has become huge, especially in the last 5 years. I think one of the biggest things that I'm hoping to see, and cross my fingers it comes from one of our students, I want to see more innovation. We're in an industry that has some of the greatest engineering minds in the world. And you go to SHOT Show every year and yay, here's a new AR-15. And I'm kind of like,
right.
No, where's my space gun? Where's the newness? Where's the coolness?
Where's the laser
and I get
shooter?
They sell. You're right, exactly. I get it. Capitalism. You build what sells. I'm all for capitalism, but dang it, I want some cool stuff. There's only a handful of companies that are innovating out there. Kel-Tec, Barrett. Trying to think of who's some of the other ones out there that are just really being innovative, and there's only a handful. A lot of people are scared to do it. Kel-Tec is one of those companies where they design cool stuff and they put it out. It might have some issues, but they always go back to the drawing board and fix those issues. I mean, look at the KSG shotgun when it first came out, and look at it now. It's almost flawless. So, and people bash me for saying the KSG is flawless. I love the KSG. Have any of your projects paved the way for any kind of new opportunities? And it may or may not, but any projects you've done, you went, ooh, wait, I can utilize this in this space with my own business, because you're looking at doing your own business. And that's something I could really perfect and kind of develop a little niche for myself in the gunsmithing world. Do you have anything in that mindset?
Not really, no. Nothing really stuck out as like a niche for me. Like I said, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew the areas that I wanted to specialize in. And refinishing the stock, that when I put that on my Facebook page, I actually got a couple people had me refinish their entire firearms for them. I've had, since I had taken the course, I've refinished probably 5 or 6 guns. But like I said, everybody's going modern. Everybody's trying to go, tactical, and put all the 9s on there and modify everything. And so that's why I think the level 2 course works, is because you're delving even more of that information, and plus you're getting more hands-on projects to do. So the entire course itself really can create a niche for you if you let it. Whether you choose to just be general repair or you choose to specialize in certain things like 1911s or Glocks or ARs, you're going to create that niche, but you're going to have that experience.
And do you think the experience that you've had with MGS, do you think that's going to help you navigate the firearms industry? Kind of throwing back to a question I asked earlier, is this a course that you feel? This is a two-part question. is the MGS Advanced Gunsmithing course, is this something that you feel is going to help you navigate a career in the industry? And two, is there anything we could add that you're like, man, I really wish I had this, a beefier starting your own business course, a more well-rounded, tool fabrication, anything that you can think of that you're like, I really wish this had this, or back to how is it going to help you navigate the industry?
Well, the industry is always changing. But with the change, you've always got that base of knowledge that you need. You need to be able to use your hands. You need to be able to work with hand tools, because 95% of the stuff that you're going to do as a gunsmith, you're going to do with files and with screwdrivers. You're not going to do it with a $15,000 lathe. I mean, that's a specialty tool. You're not going to do it with a milling machine. You're going to do it with hand tools. So that was where that paved the way. Not only did I get the experience using those tools, but I got the tools to use. Instead of having to go out and spend $500, $600, $700 on this set or that set, I had the tools provided for me, but I also had the knowledge provided for me that could help me get into that industry. And in certain areas, that industry is tough to get into. So having that helps out a lot. And the more knowledge you get, the more training you get. I'm all about training. I do training whenever I can. I'm not just an instructor. Sometimes I go there as a student. But with the advanced level 1, the advanced level 2, the best thing you're going to get is you're going to get that knowledge base to be able to go into the industry, because without it, you can't. You can't just grab some screwdrivers, grab some files, and go, okay, well, I'm a gunsmith. You're going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah, very true. It's something where, like you said, you get lots of training, and he's speaking of defensive firearms, and I'm sure as you grow as a gunsmith, you'll get training in that space too. A lot of people, I tell them all the time, we have the Second Amendment that says shall not be infringed. So I don't think it should be mandatory, but we're responsible human beings. We're adults. I think with that responsibility of taking on gun ownership, gun repair, or anything like that, you have a responsibility to get as much training as possible. I try to train with as many people from as many different training companies as I possibly can, because it makes me a more responsible gun owner. There's so many people out there that go to their concealed carry course and they feel like they're Rambo afterwards. Well, one, that's a horrible mindset to be in. That's not what carrying a firearm is about. There is a mental aspect that you have to learn. There is a defensive mindset that you have to have. And you don't really get that from a lot of concealed carry courses. I'm an instructor as well, and I try to give a little bit of that above and beyond what you're supposed to do to get their concealed carry permit. But gunsmithing is the same way. You're taking on the responsibility. You have a double responsibility as a gunsmith, right? You have a responsibility for your own safety and the people around you, right? But you also have a responsibility of caring for and repairing the tools that these people use to either put food on the table with its hunting, defend their friends, family, and loved ones if it's self-defense, or maybe somebody even makes a living. Maybe they're a competitive shooter and they want you to trick out their pistol, and they make a living off of firearms. So you have that double-edged responsibility from the safety perspective of working on guns and being a good gunsmith for the people that are your customers. So I hope that we're able to teach enough that you're able, well, I know we are, that you're able to go out into the field and do well with it. I tell people all the time, when they ask, what should I take in addition to your course? First thing I always say is go to a local JUCO, junior college, or even trade schools have them, and find a machining course. You usually can knock it out in 6 weeks. We don't teach it online because, for instance, you have medical schools now that are teaching medicine online. They teach the concepts, they teach some hands-on, but when it comes down to actually working on a body, you're still going to have to go do that in residency. A lot of the reasons they don't do that, which at some point there's probably going to be VR where it'll do it. I don't know. If we say in a online course, here's how to work a lathe, here's how to work this machinery, these big machining jobs, and then say, good luck, that's a huge liability. Next thing you know, we hear student Johnny, his scalp got pulled off because he had long hair. He didn't have it in a ponytail or in a hat, and got caught in the lathe. So there's a risk there. That's part of the reason we don't, and we really can't teach it there. Same reason a medical school is not going to teach open heart surgery online. You're going to actually have to go do it. So that's the first thing I would recommend to you if you want more education above and beyond what we give, is go get a machining course. Can you make a decent living without being a machinist in gunsmithing? Absolutely. I know a person that makes close to $60,000 a year, and all they do is clean people's guns. That's the most mind-blowing thing to me as far as gunsmithing goes, is how many people will spend $10,000 to $15,000 on a hunting rifle and take it to a gunsmith to have him clean it. I don't want to clean it. I'm like, you've got this high precision tool. All right, fine. $40. I can knock it out in 30 minutes. I do 2 an hour. I'm making $80 an hour. Heck yeah. So we'll wrap it up with these last 2 questions. And this is one where, I kind of take pride in what we've done. I've been in this space for 12 years now. Actually, no, 10 years now. I've been in the gun industry for 12 years, 10 years in the education space. And one of the things I take pride in is being able to put the students first. It's our motto on our website. I say it in every interview I do. We absolutely 100% put the students first. Part of that is making sure when I go to SHOT Show every year, it's not to go hang out. I'm going to make sure I still have my finger on the pulse of this industry. You said it yourself. The firearms industry is an ever-changing industry, and I try to keep my finger on the pulse, not for me, it's for the students. Okay, I think the students need to learn this. Hey, XYZ Guns, can we sit down and you help us come up with curriculum for this? We're constantly wanting to revamp the curriculum, make it better, and tweak it here and tweak it there. We get complaints sometimes. Hey, this was wrong in the curriculum. We're going to go and we're going to look at it. And if they're right, we're going to change it. We're going to make it right because we keep the students first. So with that mindset, how has MGS and the course you took through us helped you meet these personal goals of starting your own business, becoming a gunsmith? How have we helped do that?
Meeting the personal goals of becoming a gunsmith, it helped me because it gave me knowledge that I didn't have before. It gave me, not just through the book work, but it gave me hands-on experience with projects. I actually had to use a gun stock and go through the steps to take it from a plain old gun stock to an actual piece of art, technically, that somebody could put on a gun. I had to do these projects and have them done to a certain satisfaction. And when you're working on somebody's gun, they paid anywhere from $500 to who knows, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. They want the job done right. And if you go to them and you did a crap job, they're going to let you know. So learning from the bookwork plus doing the hands-on projects, actually getting your hands on stuff, getting your hands on tools, learning how the tools feel, learning how to make them work, learning what doesn't work. All those are things that I use to make myself successful in the gunsmithing area of my business.
So from everything we've talked about, everything you've learned from us, everything you've learned on your own, everything you've worked on, being an armorer, being a firearms instructor, what is your biggest advice? What is the biggest advice you could give for new gunsmiths starting out today? Let's say somebody just graduated from MGS, they got their FFL, they're launching their business next week. What's the best advice you could give them?
Take it slow. Nothing happens overnight. Use what you've learned apply it. Don't rush. When you rush, that's when mistakes get made. That's when guns get messed up, and that's when people can get hurt. If you forget about something or if you have trouble with something, go back to the bookwork. Utilize the Facebook. Email. If you're not sure about something, ask. Don't guess. Ask. Use the course for, I mean, you get the bookwork, you get the hand tools, use them. If you forget something, go back and read about it. Email one of the professors, email you, ask, hey, I'm having trouble with this. I know this is not part of the curriculum, but can you help me with this? Utilize every resource that you have and never stop learning, because you're never going to stop learning. So that's my best advice I can give somebody starting out.
Resources are important, and there's such a big knowledge base from gunsmiths that have been doing this for 20, 30, 40, 50 years that you can tap into, and a lot of them are willing to share that. You know, you might run into a couple that are like, no, that's my proprietary information, I'm not going to give you anything. But there are the majority of gunsmiths are like, heck yeah, absolutely, I'll help you learn this, this, and this. So tap into that knowledge, use the knowledge you got from us. Gary, man, I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate you being our first student interview. We've been wanting to line these up for a while, and I'm glad that you were able to make it and come do it. So I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thank you.
All right, everybody, this is Zeke. I am signing off and hoping you have a good week. And keep an eye out both on our YouTube, social medias. We're going to start putting these up. We'll put clips on social medias and then have this on YouTube. And keep an eye out. I'm going to try to get one of these done a month, if not more. I'd love to get one a week, but, you know, I don't know if every student wants to do an interview like this. But if you're willing to, or if you're a graduate and you're seeing this and you're a graduate, let me know. You know, let's do an interview with you too. So appreciate everybody. We'll see you guys.